a pony gnarly by. Oh, better. I got a place where winning ain't tough to do. You wanna be cool? StableDuel. Your horse racing fantasy comes true. But no, StableDuel. Download the StableDuel app and play today.
Good Friday morning to you. We are back with this weekend in StableDuel. Barry, the Sniper Spears, hanging out with yours truly, Gino Bacola. Shout out to our buddy Matt DeSantis. He'll be back hanging out with us again next week. Barry, I was joking. It feels like I haven't talked to you in like 5 years, even though it was just 1 week. I got so used to talking to you every single week. How you doing, my man? Everything going well?
Hanging in there. Yeah, it seems like forever. There's so many things happened over the week. It's just like hard to catch up, and you're like, what day is it? What day is it?
That's what's been the strange thing over the last couple of years of everything happening since the pandemic and stuff. When we're at home, the news cycle moves so quickly.
Oh man,
I don't know if things happened yesterday or a year ago, but it still all feels like yesterday in a weird way, shape, or form. And we're gonna do our best to have some fun this weekend to get you all set up. We're taking a look at the schedule for StableDuel games, and they made life easy on us. I'm out here in Southern California. My mom and dad met each other at Santa Anita. I've grown up 5 minutes away from there. That's home track for me. And you're always firing away out at Gulfstream Park. We see you out there. So that's going to be our focus for Friday and Saturday this week. Santa Anita and Gulfstream. Nothing too crazy. We'll be having fun.
It can't get any better.
Exactly.
Also, I want to fight your friend who made that song, because every Friday it gets in my head.
You're stuck.
And it's stuck. This is such an earworm.
It's done its job. So shout out to Joey Cleveland, one of my good buddies. He was the first when I went to high school. So for me, when I started high school, most people, they just kind of are, when they were in public school, they go with the same people they went to grade school with. But for me, I went to actually a Catholic school. So there's no real, like a feeder schools. When you go to Catholic high schools, it's kind of people from all over.
Everybody, yeah.
I think I only went with like one or two kids that I had known growing up, and I really wasn't that close with them. So one of the first things I did for soccer was this camp in the summer, and I met this guy, and we were singing a song, and we were like Lifehouse, Hanging by a Moment, and we were like singing it, and we both kind of were laughing at each other. And that's my buddy Joey, who I met when we were 14, and he helps me out. He does all my music for me and everything. And the first time we met, we were singing a little "Hanging by a Moment here with you." So shout out to Joey. He does a great job, man. Nothing like those friends you meet and they help you out all along the way. So
absolutely.
Anything I need, I call him up, I shoot him a message, and he goes, "I'll take care of that for you." And boom, he helps me out with little intros to segments, intro songs, and our little StableDuel theme song. So as we mentioned, Friday and Saturday, you can see here are the contests. For Friday, there's a really fun, affordable Gulfstream game for just $2. You can also play a $150 double up. There's a $50 game at Santa Anita. Then on Saturday, we've got the Gulfstream game with the double up, but the Gulfstream $60 game, that's the big focus this weekend, Barry. $20,000 with the Stag swag going to the winner. And then Santa Anita's also got a $5 game. And then next week is a huge week at Gulfstream Park. And I think I just saw that Mike Welsh tweeted they're actually going to draw the entries a day early, which is really cool on Monday, because I think they have 9 stakes races for Gulfstream next Saturday for Fountain of Youth Day. So they're going to give everybody another day to get their handicapping done, to take a look, which is great. Really cool. So we'll have another day to get things moving, get the ball rolling. But Barry, we're going to get the ball rolling for this weekend right now. Let's start at Gulfstream Park. You and I will just be bouncing back and forth between those two racetracks. I do want to give a little bit of a shout to Daily Racing Form, because we're going to jump in and take a look at the past performances from DRF. And right now, they still have that really awesome promotion going all the way through the middle of April. DRF Bets will be giving you free formulator for every $50 that you wager. So if you sign up and you're going to be playing the races, you'll get free formulator cards for every 50. But that's after you go through the 10 that they're going to give you and the $250 match bonus. So lots of cool stuff happening, and it's all the way through April the 15th, middle of April. So the
tax day.
right?
right?
Tax day. That's an important day. And that's what's cool is that love teaming up with DRF Formulator because they make our live stream so much better. We're able to pull the past performances up. We're able to go race by race. We're able to show you all that great key information that they have with those past performances. So let's bounce on out to Friday for Gulfstream Park. Barry, where do you want to go to Gulfstream for one of your plays for Friday?
I'm going to kick it off a little bit early here with race 2.
Let's go to race number 2 for Gulfstream Park Friday. And who are we looking at on Friday?
It's a maiden 25,000 or 12,500 claimer. And the horse that I kind of zeroed in on because I think this horse is actually going to take a lot of money from a StableDuel perspective. This is where you kind of want to gain an edge when you can exploit the morning line here. And I went with number 5, Mimi's Beach House. I think that horse just, kind of,
this is,
yeah.
No Matt today, but you and me are on the we team up early on for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think this horse has a huge chance. Not much form to go on here, and as far as past performances go, the horses that have run were okay, including this one. But I like the drop in class. Getting top rider kind of means a lot in this situation. I was actually kind of surprised when I saw this horse at 8-1 on the morning line because I'm pretty sure this horse is probably going to be at least second choice, if
you gotta
not
take advantage
the betting favorite. Yeah.
You got to.
So that was really my whole angle here because this horse is probably good enough to beat anybody who's already run. The only question marks are who's the first time starters, and the only one that kind of caught my eye a little bit was the 2. But I think this is a solid play to kind of start off the day here.
I completely agree. And you know what's the trip wasn't even the smoothest of trips either. When we go back and watch the race, the horse was sort of so Mimi's Beach House, who is 8-1 on the morning line today, and only would cost you 3,000 in your StableDuel lineup, was the number 11 on this race. And the horse actually had a fine beginning, if you'll notice. But the problem is just a lot of the horses to the inside all line up to this horse. So now the 11 is like 4 deep and in between horses in the second flight. And that's just a bad spot to be in for a horse making their debut. They're kind of hooked wide. They're kind of hooked in between horses. And then they shift all the way down to the inside. And now they're on the rail, which is sort of weird. And now you're sort of inside. You're in contention. And this was going 5.5. So if you run the same sort of race going 5 and just the drop in class against softer, that should put this horse right in the same range again. And you lure Irad Ortiz Jr. jumping aboard. I feel like we've sniffed out a good horse to use early on in StableDuel because this horse will probably go off more like 5-2 or 3-1.
Yeah, probably even lower than that with top rider on there.
And because I think one of the issues too, there's already been a next out winner in Perfect Picture, is if this horse was like 3-1 or 7-2, a lot
no way.
The people, I think if this horse was that on the morning line, you probably wouldn't get as big of an overreaction sometimes, right? Because people will sort of look and be like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe this horse will get bet a little bit. But when people see the bigger price, sometimes then they really jump in and the horse opens up even shorter than they should be. So it's just this weird like overreaction. But we're on Mimi and Mimi's Beach House here. Barry, it's normally Barry and Matt that find the same ones early on. Right off the bat, Barry and myself, we found the same horse in race number 2 that we both jump on with Mimi's Beach House. So that's race number 2. Got to give a shout out to our buddy Matt DeSantis, Failed to Menace, who's usually with us here. He told us that he likes a horse in race number 3. So we got to mention for him the number 2, Follow Me Mom, who's going to get back to the turf here, who's going to add the blinkers. And he thought this was a really good StableDuel play to use at 10-1, only going to cost you 1,000 in your lineup. So even though he's with us, he's through us.
Yes, he's channeling.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this horse has a similar feel to the one we just talked about.
Yep.
Probably will get bet down a lot under that 10-1 morning line.
And you'll be in a situation where you're paying for a horse that 10-1 that you're going to be getting at shorter than 10-1. And win or lose, even if these horses run dead last, that's what you want to do. You just want to put yourself in a position over and over and over again where you're winning on the margins, where you're getting the right end of the closing line value. It's a little bit different in StableDuel than it is in, if you're just betting a few bucks on the horse. We talk about like in a pari-mutuel way. Normally we're sniffing out horses, but we don't want them to get bet down. It's not as if we want these horses to get bet down, but it's the ones that we're sort of looking at going, okay, let's take advantage of the way that StableDuel is set up, and let's find these horses that we don't have to pay all that much for, and then we can spend up in the other races that we like a little bit more. So
yeah, someone once told me a long time ago is one of the most, one of the keys to gambling in general is exploiting lines.
Yep.
Whether it's morning lines or lines set by, the casinos on games and things like that. If you can do that and you can take advantage of that sort of thing, you'll be all right.
You'll be okay. Even you're gonna make it through the bad streaks, because you're gonna still find the inefficiencies out there, and those are the things that you're gonna attack. You're gonna be attacking the lines more than specific teams and specific games or races and things like that. So it's a great point, Barry, and good luck to Matt today, who's playing along and who's going to be firing away in some of those StableDuel games. So I've got a couple plays in the 8th and the 11th. Where else do you want to head at Gulfstream Park? Anything else for Friday?
We're going to keep it rolling, go on to race 4.
Let's go race 4 right next door, and tell us a little bit about who you're looking at in race number 4.
Well, this is another a maiden race, maiden optional claimer for 50,000, purse 43,000. Yeah, this is another one. These are tough races because you don't have too much form to go on. You kind of gravitate to trainers that kind of like to win early, and that's what I've actually done here. I'm going with number 2, Sonicus.
Nice.
I think this horse has a really good shot. Safi's really, really good second time out. I think this horse just didn't really have a chance, the first time, and they kind of showed a lot of speed against a horse named Kiko, who is actually a pretty decent horse when you see the progression of where that horse went from breaking the maiden then on December 23rd to where she is now.
Yep.
But there's not much in here. There's not much to grab onto. I mean, you could go and look at the 5, for example, Oaxaca, coming out of maiden special weight, didn't run all that great, doesn't really have much speed. I just think that this horse is primed to kind of go to the lead and take this one wire to wire.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as Chantel can get her out into the rail and get in front, this horse is going to be tough to beat. I don't know about, the price. I mean, as far as playing through the windows, I'm not really sure how much or how little this horse is going to be bet. They're all they look a little similar on paper. So I gather everybody's going to be kind of log jammed at, between 3 and 5 to 1.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Especially when, in StableDuel, you're going to get 8 to 1, which is $3,000, hit. But, if you're playing through the window also, you're probably going to still get decent value on a horse like this.
I like Sonicus too. You feel like with the speed in a race like this, where you have so many questions, that's what I want. I want to hang on to some speed. The horse that's going to be in front, that's proven that they're going to get out. I like the fact that you get a couple things here, right? They're adding Lasix. The blinkers are coming on. A couple positives. They're going to try to get this horse into the winner's circle. You mentioned how good they are second time out. Get a little bit of a freshening here. Lots to like. Chantal does a good job when she can get, in particular, in a case like this, she gets horses to relax really well. So if she can get this horse out on the front end and feeling really comfortable and just churning out some really nice fractions, could get a lot of run out of the deuce in here at 8 to 1 on the morning line. Only going to cost you $3,000 in your StableDuel lineup. Sonicus. We'll see if Sonicus can hang out with Tails over there. Running around there. Love me some Sonic.
Another thing about that horse is you look at the workouts since the last race. I mean, like clockwork, every 7 to 7 to 10 days.
Steady.
But I mean, they're very fast works in comparison to everybody else in the field.
Mhm.
So I'm expecting this horse to go to the lead.
Pop.
I mean, whether she wants to win or not is another story. But I'll take my chances.
Sonicus, a good play in race number 4 for the sniper Barry Spears as we continue along through our Friday Gulfstream Park card. So I'll head to my next play in race number 8 here. And this one's a little bit of a bomb. Just sort of looking at the way the race is going to shape up, I think you don't have to spend a whole ton in here on the 4. Wow. So they're going to be going 7.5 on the turf here, first level allowance runners. I think when you sort of look through this horse's career, people may be discouraged by the fact that overall they're just 1 for 13 and only 1 for 10 on the turf. But I like when you can find horses that may have sort of found a home. And I think that, going a little bit long, you can just sort of see the pattern. Going longer earlier on in her career, she would kind of flatten out at the mile and a 16th, sort of the mile and an 8th. She'd sort of middle move a little bit and then flatten out late. And when they cut her back to a turf sprint at 7 furlongs, that was when she broke her maiden. That was when she ran her best effort. And then her following race against First Level Allowance Company on November the 19th at Aqueduct, that race was not bad either. She drew post 11. She got hooked a little bit wide, sort of all the way around. She comes back on January the 23rd. She goes 5 furlongs, and that race was taken off the turf. And I think that race will get a little bit more speed into her. Now she stretches back to this like 7.5 furlong distance where I think it's going to be perfect for her. And I feel like at the least she's going to be passing some horses late in here where I'm not exactly sure if some of these, this is the distance they really want. She's only going to cost you like 250. 500?
250?
250.
I thought, yeah, 250, I think. Yeah.
250 because 500 is for 15 to 1 and 250 is for 20 to 1. And she's going to go second off the bench. I feel like we could be able to get at least a nice like 3-4 finish. And if things break right for this kind of horse, that's the one that could really get you some separation. Queen Bourbon's drawn down towards the inside. You got Commander's Palace down there who's likely going to flash some speed. You got Lilac Girl who's going to be stretching out. They're going to be more forwardly placed in here. And then towards the outside, you got a couple more who are going to flash some speed like Abuse of Power. And maybe later, I'd imagine will probably even be in the mix. So I think it sets up nicely for Wow to come flying late and to pick up some pieces. 20 to 1 on the morning line, a big bomb. Won't cost you a whole lot to use in your lineup, Barry. So Wow.
I tell you what about this this race in particular. It's like a multi-race bettor's dream.
Right.
There's so many ways you could go, and usually when you have that feel for a race that could have a lot of chaos, the better when it comes to kind of playing pick 4s, pick 3s, pick 5s, stuff like that. This one is wide open, so Wow definitely has a really good shot actually. And like you said, I think they're gonna fall asleep at the wheel, at least in the windows. This horse might even go off higher than 20 to 1 and still have a better than that chance to win.
Wow will go screaming wow. But like you said, you look up and down this race, you can make so many cases for horses in here. All of them. Commander's Palace on a slight turn back. You got Amusing Antics going second, start off the bench. Rivendell has race, the 7 furlong race, breaking the maiden makes ton of sense. The horses from Turfway come out of Turfway and run a lot better than you would think. Lilac Girl was the one that beat Wow a couple starts back. I mean, you go up and down the field. Secret Time for Danny Gargan. You and I played the Danny Gargan horse earlier on the card. That's a great assessment of this race. It's a really good kind of pick 4, pick 5 kind of race because you'll have some fun finding a couple nice medium price horses in here. That is race number 8 today at Gulfstream Park. Anything else for you at Gulfstream Park today?
Absolutely.
Where else?
Got one more, race 9.
Okay, let's go right next door. Race number 9. Tell us about your play in the 9th.
It will be number 5, Vladislav.
Okay, and we are looking at a 7 furlong optional 16-20. Tell us about this 5 Vladislavlov, third start off the bench.
Well, this is kind of a play that kind of gets a little bit underrated only because this horse is going turf to dirt. Coming in from Tampa, showing a lot of speed last time, kind of got out there and winged it and just couldn't hold on, ran a bang up race against a field and at a level much higher than what he's facing today. Now, with that said, I'm hoping that this horse can kind of, um, I don't gather they're going to try to go for the lead, although that is a possibility. I would think that this horse is going to just sit in a good stalking kind of trip.
Yep.
Because the two outside horses, the 6 and the 7, back at you and Grand Andrews, do have a lot of speed. And Grand Andrews is actually really interesting to me. I just didn't like that horse today in this spot. Probably
first.
Right. I want to see another race. I mean, the horse, posted a nice bullet on February 10th. To get ready for this one. But, Vladislav looks like a horse that's on the improve.
Yep.
And, going dirt for the first time, you gather that this horse isn't going to be pounded at the windows down to favoritism just because of that. Although I couldn't really say that for sure because a lot of weird stuff happens, especially late in the day at Gulfstream all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think this horse has a lot of good things, a lot of pluses coming into this race, especially, coming off that layoff from October 31st from Halloween to March 5th. There was a marked improvement. The two races that, from the bench then are way better. And I just think this horse is on the improve. This is the perfect spot, maybe a little bit undervalued here. But I think this is the right level, and today's the day for Vladislav.
I like this play quite a bit. Third off the bench, lots of things to like. There's some upside with the dirt. You got that really sneaky work on the dirt that seems to say they really like it over there at Gulfstream Park. Vladislav should be set for a very good effort today, and at 6-1 only cost you 5,000 in your StableDuel lineup, so that will keep you right on par, right on the average of where you needed to be for Vladislav. I will go to race number 10 to close things out, and I will look at a similarly priced horse. They're going to be going 1 mile and an eighth on the turf course in here. I'm going to the 2 advanced placement. It just, the pattern of this horse to me is just a major positive, Barry. You just can tell from watching this horse race by race. They've shown improvement from early on. Never really run a bad race, but in their first couple races, they were just in a little bit too tough in races that came back really live and productive. We've talked about Kentucky Pharaoh here on this show. The King of Dreams race came back productive. And then they got Lasix on February the 28th, only beaten 2 lengths that day, going 1 mile and a 16th. Then they went long, and the race was in the slop. And you could see the kind of gradual progression through most of the races. May the 31st, that effort was very good at Churchill Downs. They were a strong second that day, and they didn't race from May into December. Came back in December, and off a 6-month layoff, you got to go 1 mile and 3/8. You're going to get a little bit tired going that sort of a trip. Now you're going to go second start off the bench. You got a nice cozy inside spot. You're not exactly fast, but you should be able to save ground, so you won't have to be wide when you decide to make your run and come closing. So to me, the 2 is very interesting. I almost used another one in here. Actually, there were 2 that I liked. I ended up settling on the 2 advanced placement. I wouldn't talk anyone off the 8, who's 12-1, Maria's Revenge. And, you look back at the race on the turf, 2 starts back. This horse was 4th, wasn't beaten a whole lot. Javi's jumping aboard today, so you figure you're going to get a little bit of a jock upgrade compared to some of the turf races that we've seen. And the turf form really isn't that bad. The last 3 grass races, they're all pretty competitive. They're all situations that would have picked you up StableDuel points here. I thought 2 or 8 were both live, and kind of at your point, if I'm playing late pick 4s and late pick 5s, those are both horses I'd throw in on my pick 4s or pick 5s, and it might just depend on what your lineup looks like, how much you can afford to spend in this last race. I thought both of them were 2 logical horses to use.
Yeah, and I'll even add on to that. I think the 3, Where's Val, might be one to include. The horses that have run haven't been all that great. I mean, I'm sure somebody can wake up here It's not impossible, but I mean, I can't say that Where's Val would be out of the question here at a big price. You know, from a StableDuel's perspective, if you still have to spend some money, this might be one to include on top of another horse.
This is the dam right here of Where's Val, and she was really nice. You can see she did a lot of good work in New York bred stakes. What I love about horses that kind of have this pattern too, Barry, is she was running on the dirt, and then the first time she was on the turf, she was a winner.
Yep.
And I like seeing that, you know, with horses that are going to be, you know, trying the grass for the first time, as Where's Val, a first-time starter, is. And then you look at some of Where's Val's siblings. Bibby, shout out to Mike Bibby.
Mike Bibby.
Also, Henry Bibby. I'm a Trojan. I think of a Henry who was a coach through some very lean years for the Trojans. But Mike Bibby, man, he killed me sometimes on the Kings with those Lakers teams. Those Kings teams were good. I think people forget how good some of those.
Yeah, well, there's that conspiracy that they got
the Donahue team.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Ooh,
I seen a video of that. These two guys talking about the conspiracy about how they got hosed in that game and basically lost when I think it was Kobe just absolutely elbowed. I think it was Doug Christie.
Ooh, man.
It just almost knocked him out. And there was no call, nothing, and it was just it was a crazy series. But
those teams are good. Christie and Bobby Jackson.
They
played some good defense, man. They made Kobe work, and these teams hated each other. It also had that NoCal, SoCal kind of weird rivalry thing going through. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, man.
That was a lot of fun.
Sore spot for my man Ken Rudolph, but
yeah. Oh, I know. Shout out to Ken, man. I love Ken. Ken was honestly, I don't know if I've even got a chance to tell the story enough, but when I was just starting out at TVG, Ken was really awesome to me, really supportive. I actually got an opportunity to go down to Del Mar and do a show that was called Fandicapping, solely because of Ken. Like, Ken was kind of got to pick the crew that he wanted down there, and he went to bat for me right when I was brand new. He was like, I really like Gino. I want Gino to be a part of this. And so I got to go down there like every week, and they would set me up with the hotel, and I got to go down to Del Mar on Sunday and do the last race with Ken. It was cool because we would do interview some of the fans. That was when Ken would do the show us your ticks, you know, and stuff. And we'd have a good time with that. And so we would actually do a show that was like the last hour. And
I remember that.
It would do we would do a race from Del Mar, a race from like Los Al, and then a harness race from the Meadowlands, which was kind of cool because the timing was like the final race from Del Mar, and then we do it. There'd be so we'd get a little bit of everything mixed in, which was really fun. So shout out to our buddy Ken. Anytime I can give a little love to Ken, I got to do so because he was always very helpful to me when I was moving up in the world at TVG. So a cool pedigree here for a horse that's a bomb. And as you know, we've hit on a few different races. This is a fun kind of pick 4, pick 5 day at Gulfstream Park. It feels like there are some opportunities in races to get a little value, to get a little creative. So shout out at Gulfstream Park today. 2 different StableDuel games you can get involved in. There's a $2 game and there's a $5 game. But Barry and myself are now going to head on over to Santa Anita and talk about a little Friday Santa Anita. So Barry, for Friday Santa Anita, where do you want to head for some of your plays?
Race 7.
Let's get you to race number 7 for Santa Anita. And who are we looking at in the 7th?
I am looking at Shopping for Pharaoh. I love this horse. I mean, anytime I can get a horse that is cutting back in distance from a mile, showing speed to going down the hill 6.5, I'm all for it. And this horse is stacks up against all of these horses here. Just couldn't last at a mile. I think this is the perfect timing, perfect trip. Everything going this horse's way, getting the makeover package, Lasix blinkers on.
Yep.
They're going to go and try to win this race, and I am here for it.
Shopping for Pharaoh is an absolute must-use in all exotics. I have Shopping for Pharaoh picked second for some of the Santa Anita selections that I do. The horse who, if and keep in mind now, because there's only 8 races at Santa Anita on Friday, you're going to have to double up twice throughout the card. So there are going to be multiple spots where you have to double up. Maybe one of them is in this race because I liked the 6 as a stable dual play a little bit. She's Got Away. With turf sprinters, it's kind of interesting because it's a little trial and error. You know, they try a few things and then they kind of figure out, oh, this is sort of where we're at our best. And if you look at the 6 in here, She's Got Away, I think she really fits that profile well. So they debuted going 5.5. It wasn't a bad effort. She was a runner up that day. Then she went 5 furlongs on the turf. She was behind Baby Steps. Her trip wasn't the easiest. She kind of had some sneaky trouble that day. And 5 just was a little bit too short. Then she came back on November the 4th. She went a mile, but she ran into a nice horse in here named Tesere. Tesere came right back out of that race to win the grade 3 Jimmy Durante. And they found that a mile might be like a little bit too far. You could see they went a mile and then they went a mile again. She finished second or she finished 4th, beating a couple lengths. And then she came back and finished 3rd in a race that was on the slop. And that race came back live. We've already seen a couple next out winners, and She Got Away was one of them. And then she set a really nice trip going 6.5 on January the 29th. And that might be just the trip that she wants. This will be down the hill, which is slightly different from the flat layout. But with her running style, it doesn't really concern me at all. I think she's going to try to park herself, maybe sit in 3rd or 4th, Barry. And Professor's Pride has a little bit of speed. The 4 Baby Steps has a little bit of speed. The horse that you like has speed, but cutting back. So of the speeds, I actually like Shopping for Pharaoh the most. That's why I kind of stacked them 6-2 in this race. And maybe this is a race where you end up doubling up because She's Got Away at 8-1 on the morning line. Only going to cost you $3,000 in your stable dual lineup. So
one other thing is I do not like the 3.
Yeah.
If there's anything about this race, I just don't want any part of the 3 Del Mona at all. Just no part of this horse. Not first time out. I know that's a really big thing sometimes coming from overseas, but not today. I just couldn't do that at a short price. There's no way I could play that horse. I
get a little more worried about these horses at sprint distances also.
Right.
When they're going longer, I think, okay, they have better turf distance races. But the one thing that we still have out here in the U.S. is our speed.
Gate speed, especially.
It's a little bit different. And so I think sometimes that first quarter, like you're right, that first part of the race, these horses kind of get outrun a little bit. And it sort of puts them in a weird spot where they got to go a little bit faster to keep up. Sometimes it takes you a race or two just to get used to the tempo of U.S. racing. So I agree, at a short price and stable duel in particular, I'd stay away. But yeah, that'd be a horse if I'm playing pick 4s and stuff. I'd throw in Shopping for Pharaoh. She's Got Away, and I'd be okay staying away from the short price there in race number 7. While we're at Santa Anita for Friday, do you have any other Santa Anita Friday plays today?
Absolutely.
Where else you want to go today?
Race 8. You know how I like to connect the races and play doubles.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Where are we looking in race number 8?
Yeah, in this maiden special weight, I chose number 7, Beef Winslow.
Tell us about
this is another horse that I think is probably on the improve. There's again not much form to go on here, but you have a horse in the number 1 that's going to take a beating at the windows, who I'm not really fond of that post position. It probably wins a lot, but there's also a 1 in every race.
Yep.
But I just think there's so many more options here. If that horse wasn't on the rail, it'd probably be I'd probably tread a little bit more lightly. But having that horse on the rail, he's going to take a lot of heat from all over the place. I think the 2, in fact, has a ton of speed, and hopefully, JJ Hernandez can get him out of the gate and kind of go heads up with this 1, and it just sets everything up. I mean, you have the 3 who's coming out of the same barn as the 2. You got the Baffert horse. Hopper, who, there's a lot of good horses in here, and I don't, when I looked at this race, I'm like, how can you make any horse 6-5 here? I
Well,
mean,
and I don't know how this horse is 12-1. Just because
right,
if you're just playing the horse, look like the two races that he's run, Beef Winslow, his debut, he ran into Forbidden Kingdom, who is a grade 2 winner, and he beat a couple Baffert horses last time out. And then in his second start, which was sprinting on the turf, he ran third. And the race in which he ran third is already come back and seen a next out winner in Sumter,
yep.
who's won 2 in a row, and he just won a stakes race. So another situation where I think this horse is going to get bet a little bit. We're talking about a good barn too for Doug O'Neill. It's not like this is like a really small barn that doesn't have a lot. You got a steady tab. There are like plenty of things to like about Beef Winslow here.
Yeah, I mean, as far as a trip scenario, if this horse gets the same trip you got last time, it should be okay. Sitting right off the speed, maybe he needed the experience, been off since October, which is a little bit of a concern, but not too much, especially when they're sprinting. I think this horse is just coming into this race perfect. I mean, you see the steady stream of works.
Yeah.
They're fast. This horse I think this horse is a lot better than what he looks on paper and what the morning line is giving him credit for.
And shout out, this reminds me of something I just watched the other day. So have you seen, so, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air has the reboot going right now, which is actually pretty good. I got to say,
it is
on Peacock. It's very good. I know a lot of people were like making fun of it to begin, but I like that it's completely different, right? You like totally different characters. They're not even the same as the show. So they didn't take that spin, but Saturday Night Live did a parody a few weeks ago. And I don't know if you've seen this. It's really funny. Anyone that hasn't seen it has to check this out. And so they were using the Fresh Prince, like the ad for that new show. They said,
oh yeah,
new twist on the Fresh Prince, and they did one on Family Matters, and they did one, and it's like it's this real version of Urkel, and it's so funny, and they like it pans out, and it's like the true story of Urkel, and he's hard, and he's like, there's this one scene where he caps a fool, he kills this fool, and he's like, did I do that? And it's just hilarious. It's so funny. And shout out to Beef Winslow, because it was reminding me of Carl Winslow here and Laura Winslow. So family, that was funny. If you haven't checked out that, it's just like a 2-minute little clip. That's like a fake trailer that I loved. It made me really laugh. So that's what's great about these mornings. And that's what's so funny about handicapping a horse racing and a horse racing card is you never know the names of which card and where they're going to take you. It's a different song, a different movie, a TV show, a name of something. And the places that we go just handicapping horse racing cards are hilarious. Barry, I'm actually so funny. I'm right next door to you again. I thought Carpe Bellum was a horse who's a bomb in here. And I'm totally just looking at the way this race shapes up like you were. I'm hoping we can get a horse to come from off the pace in here, because the one's going to go from the rail, Mo Gold. And I think with Mo Gold sending, Happy Runner is probably going to be forwardly placed in here. Admiral Halsey is going to go. Those three, I think, are all going to go. Beef Winslow ends up sitting a little bit. I think Carpe Bellum gets off the rail. It's going to be a first-time gelding. Coroner is very good with horses still early on. Tyler Bays, who was struggling for a little bit, is now actually warming up quite a bit. And one thing that I like, just looking at the race. So the horse who was 5th in this race, who was right next to the horse who I like, Epic, that's the horse who came back and beat Mo Gold. So, if we're just talking about the common rival game, Epic was 5th right in front of Carpe Bellum, and that horse came back and beat Mo Gold, who I think the one thing that maybe if you're watching this you can take out is that me and Barry don't really love Mo Gold in here, or really the two short prices in the end of the card at Santa Anita. Could the horse win? Absolutely, but am I gonna really be forced from the inside to go? And Epic, was fifth in this race. And if we can get a little bit of improvement for Carpe Bellum, for a horse who towards the outside, I just want to sit a little bit and maybe finish third again at 20-1. Like anytime I can find a horse at Santa Anita that's 20-1 and I can make a small case for, I'm going to throw him in because man, there's I go 3 or 4 days in a row where I don't find 20-1 shots at Santa Anita. So and if I have a little case to make for them, I will throw them in. Carpe Bellum and Beef Winslow for Barry and myself at Santa Anita today to try to close things out on Friday. So lots of opportunities for prices on Friday in your StableDuel games. It's kind of a quiet sort of weekend. As I mentioned, Gulfstream's got their big weekend next weekend. And this weekend, what do we got? We got the Rebel at Oaklawn, but just overall, it's not quite as big. But then next weekend, I think there are 15 stakes races or graded stakes races between Santa Anita and Gulfstream, between just those two, and then Aqueduct. So I think we're going to have 3 big prep races next weekend all around. And so we got to build a bankroll for this big $60 game on Saturday, Barry. $20,000 in prizes at Gulfstream Park. The Stag swag going to the winner. Where do you want to go on Saturday at Gulfstream for some of your plays?
All right. We're going to start in race 7.
Okay, let's go race number 7 at Gulfstream Park and tell us about who we're using in the 7th race.
I was actually kind of torn here, but I ended up on number 5, Awesome Anywhere. Okay. If you go and you look through this horse's past performances, really the only bad race that this horse had was on the slop in Monmouth back in last May. Just didn't show up. Just clearly didn't like it. Was the favorite that day, 2-1, and just didn't show up. Like got beat by 31 lengths. Just clearly did not like the wet track, or doesn't. One of the things that really kind of caught my eye is this horse has 2 wins on the synthetic, which kind of goes a long way when you have these races at Gulfstream where you're kind of getting horses from all over the place that haven't tried synthetic or don't know about it, and the trainers aren't really that well versed in it, and they're trying things differently. You got to give this horse a shot. This horse has some back class, some races back in early 2021, in late 2020 that could easily win this race. Now, he's coming in from Tampa out of $100,000 optional claimer into this spot, which is starter allowance of $25,000. I mean, that's a significant drop in class. I don't expect this horse is going to be 12-1. I was thinking more about 5 or 6-1, but in StableDuel, you get away with it a little bit. You get a break on the price. But yeah, I think this horse has a really big shot. And I was close to picking the 4 Tropicat. That may be another one you want to use in this race because you're not taking so much money with Awesome Anywhere.
Yeah. Ran into a horse named Mr. Jägermeister. I think they just retired this horse.
Yes, he did. He got injured and retired.
This horse is a really nice Minnesota bred who won a ton of races up at Canterbury and got really good and is fast. And, the horse who a few starts back, who this horse ran into, the one that you played, number 5, Awesome Anywhere, was also a horse who was at one point a pretty nice runner named Much Better. And this race came back super live with Sagamore, Mischief, and Much Better was a Baffer back there. I remember who they tried to get sort of on the Derby trail early on. This is a much softer spot. And you do a great job down in Florida of really sniffing these horses out that feel like they just might be a little higher than they are on the morning line. Awesome Anywhere, 3rd start off bench, seems like a really good StableDuel play, one that you're not even going to be spending $1,000 on, only $750 off that 12-1 morning line. So that's race number 7 for the Sniper at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. I'll go backwards a little bit, and I'll go to race number 1 at Gulfstream. And
first race.
This is one where I'm going to go to Chickaboom here. The number 3. They're going a mile on the turf, and Chickaboom, 2 starts back, was going a mile on the turf at Tampa when finishing 3rd against Maiden Specials. This is a Maiden 25 claimer here, and Paco's jumping aboard. I just think there are plenty of positives. Look at the grass races that you have. On the 26th, you've got a pretty good third at Tampa. Prior to that, you've got a third at Gulfstream back in September in a field of 10 against open maiden specials. And prior to that, you've got a good third again against Florida bred maiden specials. Before that, you're fifth in a race that's come back really live with a couple next out winners. I think the turf form is just very solid for Chickaboom overall. Has been in the money in 4 of the 5 starts on the turf. And the 5 furlong race last time out just kind of sharpen this horse up a little bit, get a little bit more speed into her. Now you stretch her back out. You have Paco jumping aboard. I think they'll be more forwardly placed in here going a mile. And at 8-1, only going to cost you $3,000 in your StableDuel lineup. I mean, nobody else in here, like the 2 Conundrum Queen. Yeah, that's the favorite. That's the horse to beat, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't nobody else in here scares the heck out of me. So give me the 3 at 8-1. Chickaboom. We'll get things started at Gulfstream Park on Saturday with just a $3,000 player in the opener there.
Yeah, my note on that horse is the rider switch, or this is what I put: rider switch to get in the race earlier.
Yep, and that's what I'm hoping. I want to get a good run for our money here. Want to be sitting, you don't just to be dead last, right? Sitting more mid-pack to sit in third in a good spot. Chickaboom. Paco jumping aboard. Let's see if we can get more aggressive, as Barry's note said. I hope that is the case at Gulfstream on Saturday. Where do you want to head next, Barry?
We are in race number 9.
I'm
on the back half of the card. I
You're
think
on the
I have
back
9.
half? Awesome.
Yeah, 9 and 10. I
9
have
and
2
10?
more. Yeah.
So let's go race number 9 for Barry, and tell us about where we're heading this mile and an eighth maiden special.
I am going with number 6, Magianera. Now, a lot of these horses are coming out of the same race that was on Pegasus Day. It was a pretty salty maiden special weight. And the horse here that actually finished in front of Magianero is the 10 horse Bourbon Heist, who didn't run all that great. Ran okay as the favorite. Got Lasix. Probably needed that race, but one thing that I've noticed with this horse is the horse runs the same exact race every time and doesn't win. Literally runs the same race and finishes second every time. 6 starts, even in the stake race, ran a really similar race
behind Major General, who's a nice horse. Yeah.
And just didn't get it done. Just couldn't pass horses when it counted. And the same thing happened on Pegasus Day. And I'm just getting skeptical of this horse at this level.
Can they win? Sure, but when they drop out of those graded stake, this was a Frank Miramati angle. When I used to handicap with Frank and on TV and play the races. If a horse drops out of a stakes race like this and is a maiden and they don't win, he'll never bet him again. If they don't win on their first time they drop out, it's like, nope, never betting them again, because they were supposed to win when they dropped back out and they faced maidens again. And sure, he'll catch a field where he'll win and he'll be better.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll definitely win eventually. But
not as if he's bad. He's nice. You don't want to take, he'll probably get bet a little bit. It's just not a race where I'd want to spend up on that type of a horse.
No, definitely not. And the reason I actually went with Magianera, if you watch that race, the Magianera was the 7 in that race and kind of got out in front of Bourbon Heist. The winner, I forget the winner's name, is Shifty Swing or Shifty. Yeah, that horse actually was really tough on the lead, and there was nobody beating that horse. But if you can see, the 7 horse in the race here is Magianera. Gets in front of
in a good
Bourbon
spot
Heist. Yeah, it is in a great spot. I think the horse just needed the experience, to be honest with you, just the way the horse ran, because she kind of got in the bridle a little bit and ran on and just kind of tired late, and Bourbon Heist kind of swooped up behind and passed her. But if this same thing happens on Saturday where Magianera gets to the front or gets to the spot before Bourbon Heist, I think Maginera can beat this horse.
Absolutely. That's the kind of thing I look for with, just like you're saying, because with a lot of horses and a lot of situations where, this is a barn that's good first time out, they're good with younger horses, but most horses generally need races to get fitter. 7 furlongs is not an easy distance in which to debut. And so because it's that in-between sprint where you're kind of running hard all the way, but it's not 5 furlongs, right? You're almost going a mile. That you're going to get a lot out of that race for Maginera here. I like that. That's another sneaky play there for Barry at Gulfstream Park. We're talking about race number 9 on Saturday, that maiden special weight, and Maginera the 6 at 8-1 will only cost you 3,000. So that's
full disclosure. I bet Maginera that day too.
Yeah, and that's what and I do that too. It's so funny. Like I'll see some days where I'll be handicapping. Like right now, for example, I look at Sam Houston for like every race for all there. So there'll be some days where it's like I have 4 horses that are bet back plays for me from the last time.
Yeah,
you got all in trouble last, but because you just sort of focus on those horses a little bit more, right? They're the horse that you bet, so you're really watching their trip the whole way through. And then there's sometimes where you're like, oh no, we had a bad start. Oh no, then I ran into traffic. Oh, and then I got wide. So you're like, you notice that trip.
I'm so notorious for being one race too soon.
Yeah,
and that's why I usually give them at least 2 chances, right?
If they're a price, especially because they're the ones that we like are generally prices. So you want to give them another shot. It's just the ones where you liked them at the price. They had some trouble. They come flying. They just miss. And then the next time they're going to be 8-5. It's like, I won't be able to get them there.
Well, yeah. I mean, this horse was 26-1 that day.
Yeah.
That's why I liked it.
Yeah. And there was something there. You could see this horse was competitive and showed a little something in a tough race. Now, hopefully we can get in the 8-10-1 range here, and Barry can at least get some of that money back today. So that's race number 9. As I've got I'll go back in time a little bit too. I've got a little earlier on the card in race number 3.
What, Latruska? You gonna bet Latruska?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go Latruska here in race number 6. We're gonna spend 50,000 of our lineup of our money. I'm going back again, and again I'm going to the number 3 in here, and let's see where we are. Let's get you here, and I'm looking at Unbridled Glitter. So
yes, race 3, correct?
Race number 3, Unbridled Glitter, the number 3 in here. This horse is 8-1 on the morning line, and they're going to stretch out to a mile and a 16th on the synthetic. You'll notice that they debuted on the synthetic going 5. The race wasn't bad. This horse has finished 4th in all 3 starts, but you look up and down the race, there is no speed in here on paper whatsoever. None. And Unbridled Glitter showed a little bit more early pace last time out in the slop. They're going to get Lasix now. They're drawn down towards the inside. I think Steak and Eggs will also be forwardly placed, but I wouldn't be shocked if the 3 is either on the lead or sitting second in a race where nobody scares me, and it doesn't look like there's that much speed in here. And this is a horse who they paid 20,000 for. Like, this is where she belongs. She should be here. I like playing horses like this in maiden claiming races, not as much horses that are 100, 200, 300,000, because you know that this isn't where they were kind of supposed to be. This wasn't the plan for them all along. Things had to kind of go wrong for them to end up here. This is one that won't break your bank. 8-1, $3,000. Unbridled Glitter stretching out, hopefully on the front end today in race number 3. The number 3, Unbridled Glitter.
Well, you know how I feel about beating big time connections first time out, and you got 2 of those in here in the 7, Artemis Sweetheart and Miss California, Pletcher and Safi Joseph, respectively. We've talked about this on several occasions where, these horses may be better down the road, but this is the day they can get beat.
Because they're here, because they're in this spot on the synthetic going a mile and a 16th because they're either a little behind, maybe they're a little slow
out of the gate,
right? They're
typically
not so maybe they're behind the 8 ball, so they're going to need a couple races to really figure out, like we were saying, that pace. So Yeah, I agree with you. That's a really
Especially
good.
being wide. That was the other thing I felt about these two horses that are probably going to get a lot of action is, where the starting point is for these races. It's hard for them to clear unless they kind of go all out.
And I don't know if
And
they
I
can
don't I
do
don't
it.
think they really want to. It
No.
doesn't seem like they would really want to try to go to the lead. So they're kind of have to work out a trip of some sort.
Mhm.
And it's very difficult from being outside where this start is, on the synthetic, and I think they're just up against it. I mean, not saying they can't win, but I would definitely want to side with some chaos here
Very
in this
much.
race.
Yep, firsters don't do it for me either, and those are the races I like to target when the short price horses don't do it for me, and I can find a little bit of pace with Unbridled Glitter. So that is race number 3. I've got one more at Gulfstream on Saturday. That's in the 8th. You said you've got one in the 10th.
Yes, sir.
Let's jump to race number 10, and let's take a look at Barry's Saturday Gulfstream Park play. We'll go a mile on the turf course here. Where do we want to go?
We're gonna throw one downfield.
Let's do it.
I am going with number 3 is Adorable Ada.
Nice. Big bomb, 20-1. Talk us into Ada.
Well, there's really not much in here. Again, you get one of these kind of overseas horses and star seeking that, obviously Todd Pletcher is firing on all cylinders right now. He can't do much wrong. However, he can get beat. And I'm not so enthusiastic about this horse, even though, the number came back big. I'm just wondering why this horse is in a race like this still, after that last one. Why is this horse stuck in an optional 25?
Yep.
Clearly, if that horse was any good, he definitely wouldn't be in this spot. At 8-5, I'm looking at any reason to get rid of a favorite.
Yep.
And this is that was my reasoning for that. But back to Is Adorable Ada. I think this horse has some races, especially back
the December 29th race.
I was gonna say the race before last that was on the turf stacks up just as good with anybody in here.
7-2 in that race against a couple horses that are in this field, was only beaten a half length.
20-1 seemed a little absurd to me. Just looking at the past performances. Plus, she's getting her win rider back in Miguel Vasquez. But even the Tiara race, she was wide the whole way and just never really got a footing, and still kind of closed in a little bit. Made up some ground past a few horses. It wasn't an ideal trip. Going from the way outside.
Those Claiming Crown races are good.
Tough. Very, very tough, because a lot of those horses come back and win or run really well out of those races back into their spot. And this is the level for this horse. I mean, this is clearly the level for this horse.
Yep.
And if you look at all the past performances, all the races for this horse, I mean, basically she runs a race every time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of, stroke of luck. Like one time lost the whip in the stretch, rallied 4 wide.
She gets beat a couple lengths when she has trouble. You never see her get absolutely dusted or crushed ever.
No,
she always goes up and fires. And these are the reasons why I really love doing this show, because this is the kind of horse that if she runs dead last, that's fine. But it's nice to get excited about horses like this.
Yeah.
She feels like she's got a legitimate shot to run really well. If you play, horses to win, if you're playing exactas tries, and if you're playing StableDuel, it's nice when you look and you can find a horse like this that's only going to be $250, and you can feel really confident about building your lineup on a Saturday. You can have 2 races where you're like, okay, I can really spend up there because I at least feel confident about this horse giving me a good run for our money. And many times horses like this, they won't run as well or they don't fire, but the 1 or 2 times they do, that's all you need in the long run, to make up for a lot of losses. This is a nice one that you were able to sniff out here. It's Adorable Ida.
There was one caveat to that, because the horse was entered for today in the 8th race, but clearly scratched. So,
yep.
She's definitely going to run tomorrow. This is a better spot anyway, so it's go time.
Go time for is adorable Ida. This is absolutely a horse who I'll be throwing into my late exotics. And I didn't have a play in this race, but I think I'm going to steal yours for my lineup for tomorrow.
All right.
Because this is just a good horse to build. I've got one more, and it's funny. On Saturday, my 3 plays at Gulfstream Park were all 3, the number 3.
Oh boy.
All 3 of them were 8-1 also. So 3 plays, 3 of them all.
Wait, let me guess. It's in the 8th race. Is it my man Flint?
It's my man Flint. Yes, that's the one here. My man Flint, who, I mean, this one you just kind of makes sense. Debuted going long against maiden 50s at Ellis and just didn't fire that day. I think you can put a line right through it. Showed back up on December the 11th. Was 48-1 against maiden 35 claimers and ran really, really well. Sat off the pace, made one late run. Then on January the 20th, it was first time versus winners. And I think 2 things happened. One, they're just kind of trying to figure out where he fits. They tried a 50 non-2. That race was probably a little bit too tough. And the trip was probably not the greatest. I think moved a little bit early, was wide, was kind of in between. They didn't really take back, but they didn't really go. Now you're going to go 3rd start of the form cycle. You're going to drop in class. They're sort of trying to figure out where he best fits. And nobody really, again, when I pick races like this, a lot of time it's because nobody scares the heck out of me in here. Of the other horses who have run, I'm not terrified of them. And I think there's a lot of upside with a horse like my man Flint, who, again, they paid $32,000 for this horse. He's in the range where he should be. This is a $20,000 claiming race. This is a horse who belongs in this spot. My man Flint, 3rd start off the bench. That's going to be my play.
If horses could talk, I think my man Flint would be upset because they keep disrespecting my man at the windows.
Right? I know. You give him a little.
You won it 48-1.
Rodney Dangerfield here, right? Rodney Dangerfield, of course, is my man Flint, who I think is going to give you a really good account of yourself, a good account of herself on Saturday, and will only cost you $3,000 in your StableDuel lineup at 8-1. So couple plays for me, couple plays for Barry out at Gulfstream. We will finish up for Saturday as we head over to Santa Anita, Southern California. Will be the final track that we look at on this week's edition of This Weekend in StableDuel. So Barry, for Santa Anita for Saturday, tell us where you want to start.
Race number 3.
Race number 3 at Santa Anita for Saturday. As I mentioned, next week, Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park will both have huge weekends. I think Gulfstream has 9 stakes races, Santa Anita 4 or 5 of them on tap. Where are we going to head in race number 3? We have a 6.5 furlong turf race here. Tell us about this third.
I went to number 5, Johnny Padres. And, you know, this race is really, really kind of strange, as most of these, you know, non-down the hill 6.5 furlong races are. Just for the fact that they're 6.5 and they're not down the hill is strange enough. But they're always run like crazy differently.
I know.
There's no
style. It's weird.
It's always different. And, you know, it seems like this horse here is coming into this race probably better than any race this horse has had. And, you know, stacking up his last, let's see, 4 races.
Yeah.
Stacks up exactly with this field. I mean, everybody kind of looks the same to me.
Yep.
So usually when I feel that way, you know, you definitely want to kind of steer away from horses that are going to take a lot of money.
They all look the same. When I was handicapping this race for the program and going through and stuff, I thought the same exact thing. and the reason why, one of the reasons why I have your horse too pick second is like he's got a little bit of versatility to him.
Yeah,
you know, he can show a little speed, but he's also can pass some horses. And in a race where they all kind of look the same, we're not really sure what trip they're going to get. He's at least going to be as good of a price or better, and he's got some different ways that he can get involved.
Yeah, I mean, I figured the outside Augusta Melody and the inside horse, should really go first pres, should really kind of get out there and set a decent pace, even with the 2 Cotopaxi, who's probably going to take a lot of money. I just can't endorse that. I mean, even the 3 has some speed here, so it kind of opened it up for, you know, the 4 Bricks and 5 Johnny Padres, and the 4 Bricks was one I almost selected. I just didn't. I know this is going to sound bad, but I just didn't like the rider combination with that horse. You know, I think he's a little bit rough on the horses, and this one seems to need a little bit more touch. So that's why I ended up with the 5 with Ryan Curatolo.
Yeah,
I think he's an excellent jockey. He's very good touch. He has good hands, and he knows how to get horses in position. And that's what you need in a race like this, where, you know, I think he's going to be probably in the second flight and be able to kind of swing wide and kind of do his thing.
If we're just going to play these 2 horses, like if we're comparing Bricks and Johnny Padres, I feel like is going to be a couple lengths in front of Bricks when he starts to launch, and Johnny Padres is going to be slightly better price. Like if there are 2 things that I'm leaning toward, you know what I mean? Like when I'm making decisions on horses like that, I'm always going to lean towards the better price. And if a horse has a little bit more tactical speed than the other, I'll probably lean in that direction too, because they may be able to just work out their own trip a little more. You know, Bricks might be stuck behind another horse or 2, maybe 1 flight behind a horse like Johnny Padres when he starts to make his run. I think if you're playing any sort of rolling exotics, you have to use the 5 in this race, because this is a really tricky race, and that horse could play very much like an 8 to 10 to 1 shot, pick 4s and pick 5s and stuff, because it's not like real sexy connections either, but they're good. They're really capable.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Miotti is very excellent off these kind of layoffs, and, you know, to your point earlier is, you know, Johnny Padres actually finished in front of Bricks back in September 2020 in a similar kind of spot. So, you know, going a little bit shorter, so that's even bodes even better for our horse here.
That is in the early part of the card at Santa Anita, race number 3 on Saturday. I'm going to head, I have plays in 6, 7, and 9 for Santa Anita for Saturday. And we'll take a look at race number 6. This is a move that John.
I got a horse in this race too.
Okay, great. So this is a move that Sadler used to make quite a bit. I'm going to the 1, So It Would Seem, the horse that this filly that he claims for $75,000. And brings into this open maiden special weight race. He used to do this at Hollywood quite a bit with Ronus Racing, and it's far back, so you can't really dig into the stats all that much to find it, but they would claim horses out of the high-level maiden claiming races for like 50, 70, 80, and then they protect them and step them up. And they used to win a lot of those early graded stakes or stakes races for 2-year-olds doing something like that, or like really early races for 3-year-olds. They just have a great eye. Like Sadler has a lot of horses on the circuit, and his owner, Ronus Racing, fantastic owner, invests a ton of money, and they're really sharp. What I thought was interesting is that the horse that beat So It Would Seem is actually a Sadler horse too, Columbia. So he's got a pretty good idea of how good, you know, that horse is. The 3rd place finisher in that race, Unsolved Mystery, which, shout out, was a great show I used to watch with my Uncle Rocco all the time. He was 3rd, and he came back to win out of that race in a maiden 80, and he won pretty impressively. And So It Would Seem was actually favored, and the race was not bad. He was actually sat a pretty good trip. He just couldn't go by the horse who cleared the field, Hail Columbia, who we're going to see here in this race. The So It Would Seem is the 7, and you can see he sits a pretty nice trip. He ends up sort of looming up, and he just finishes 2nd. He can't get to the horse who's on the front end, Hail Columbia. So at 5 to 1 on the morning line, 6,000 in your stable dual lineup, right about the par of what you'd need for your lineups. But Barry, you said you've also got a horse in race number 6. Who's the horse that you're going to be using?
I am using number 5 every step of the way.
Okay, tell us about the 5 in here.
I think this horse just didn't get a chance to run last time. I don't know if you can bring up that replay from January 1st. Horse just never got a chance. Bobble break and was 4 wide the whole way and just kind of, as my wife says, Pepe Le Pew'd it
right
around.
there. See, it was right
Yep.
after the start. Like, okay, start, took about 2 or 3 steps, and then
bobbled.
and now you're done.
Right.
You're done.
So, I just think this horse just didn't get a chance.
Yep.
And probably, in the Jonathan Wong barn, will be much improved.
Yep.
Without any kind of bobbling. Hopefully. The horse was kind of mildly bet that day at 9-1 and just didn't get a chance to run. And this field is okay, I guess. I mean, you do have $1 million horse on the outside in Ganadora, but again, another one of those situations where Ganadora might be the best horse in the race, but maybe not on Saturday.
I'm using a horse stepping up for maiden claimer, so I agree. I don't think it's the strongest maiden special weight race in the world, right? And this is a horse who's got some decent pedigree. Lipinski was a winner. You see Anoush, who didn't win, but who showed some ability. Sunset Wish was a multiple winner, won a stakes race, took a shot in the grade 3 Honeybee. Icefield was not a winner, but finished second twice at the maiden special weight level at Belmont Park. Cold Spell was a winner. Banks Island was a multiple winner. There's a lot to like about the pedigree of the 5. It just feels like you said, you put a line right through it. This horse should be probably half of that. Honestly, this horse should be like a 6-1 shot in this race and not a 12-1 shot.
Yeah, but I think you're going to get that 12-1 because you might even get more because they're going to crush the 3 and the 6.
Those two. The 3 dropping out of the stakes behind Ida, and then you've got the Ganadora $1 million purchase there. So those two will take a ton of money. But I completely agree with your assessment in that one. We assume with the Baffert horses you're gonna show some speed, but there's not any really proven speed in here, which is why I kind of like the one. I think they're gonna get a little more aggressive and just go from the inside. And I think your 5 who missed the break going 6, when horses bobble at the start like that in their first race, if it was me, I know that if I'm out and I'm playing baseball or basketball or whatever, if I make a mistake, the one thing I'm going to try to do is I'm going to focus a lot so that way I don't make that same mistake the next time, right? So then I always feel that way with horses when they have a slow start, is that if they can do it, you're going to get a better beginning this time because they're going to be really focused on, hey, let's not have as bad of a beginning. Let's make sure we get ourselves out of the gate. Let's settle and put ourselves in a good spot. And if we're not good enough, we're not good enough. But let's not lose the race because the trip.
Exactly. Just get the horse in position and see what she can do. And I think there's a lot of that going on. I mean, you can even look at the other Baffert horse, the 2, just didn't run at all.
No.
Just didn't run at all, and then fires a bullet from the gate on the 17th.
And they're going to take some money again too. They've got action in the debut. They're always going to take. I gotta be honest. This doesn't sound like a place where I want to be. A brocade, that doesn't like. I gotta be fair. Like it just doesn't seem like my cup of tea. I don't think you and I would be at the brocade. I feel like you're my bro. And you and I can have some good times, but nah, too many bros. It starts and it becomes a brocade or a bro fest. No.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that.
No, thank you. So let's jump to race number 7 at Santa Anita on Saturday. That's going to be my next play. I've got one in the 7th and then one in the 9th. I wanted to mention. Thanks again, everyone, for hanging out with us on Friday morning. We missed our buddy Matt DeSantis, who's always going to be with us on these Friday mornings, but he'll be back with us next week, and we'll have a ton to talk about with big weekends at Gulfstream and big weekends at Santa Anita. We may have some more guests joining us in the coming weeks, too, so we'll do our best, always trying to bring you the best information and getting you all set up for the weekend races and all the cool weekend StableDuel contest. So in the 7th, Barry, it is the Wishing Well, and I thought the 1 Thrilling would flash a little bit of speed. The way this race shapes up on paper, I thought the 3 Dynasty of Her Own is going to flash some speed. Alice Marble isn't exactly slow. I think they're going to be forwardly placed, kind of pushing it. Spirit of Bermuda will also be forwardly placed, kind of pushing it. And Hear My Prayer towards the outside is also pretty quick. So I think of this field of 7, there might be 5 that all really want to go. And that left me with 2 other horses, the 6 Tapwater, who could absolutely get a really nice trip, or the 2 Stella Noir, who feels like there's a lot of upside with this filly. She's a filly who won her career debut. When anytime I see that, I always know there's some talent there. And then she jumped into stakes. She ran into a horse named Astute, who was pretty good at the time. Then she ran into Private Mission, the Baffert, who ended up winning a grade 1. She returned. She went to the bench for a while. She returned. She finished 4th in a pretty tough little 6.5 furlong race behind Bella Vita and Living My Best Life. And I think she's just a sprinter. The 6 furlong race behind Living My Best Life in the Lucky Spell at Los Al was good. Then she went long. She went a mile. And that race is actually pretty tough too, behind Bye Bye Birdie and Miraz, who was the runner-up that day. And I just think the mile was a little bit more than what she wants. She cut back to 6 furlongs. That was a good 3rd. And then in her first try on the turf, which was down the hill, she ran really well. She won that day. She got a good setup. And I think she's going to get a setup in here. She's 10-1. She's only going to cost you 1,000. And I'm pretty confident that if she just sits the same trip, she'll at least be able to pass a couple of these, Barry, that are going to be tiring late because of the early speed. So, she's 10-1. Can she run 3rd in here at least? I think so. Can she win this race? I do think so.
Mm-hmm.
I do think she can take a step forward, second start off the bench with a few things to like for Stella Noir with some upside in the wishing well. So,
well, what I like about that horse in particular is the first time turf.
Yep.
She ran a big number.
Yep, she improved.
Probably her career best buyer actually.
Yep.
Equaled that off the bench. So usually, what that constitutes is I don't know if it's just me that calls it this, but it's a breakthrough pattern.
Yep.
When you talk about buyer speed figures, this, when the horse comes off the bench and equals or kind of is around their top figure, that means they have another jump up in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I feel like this too has. Especially first time on the turf, running a pretty good number here.
Yeah.
I think this horse can actually be even closer to the pace. It is a little more versatile than what that 1 win on the turf looks like.
Yep.
So yeah, this is a great spot. I like this horse.
Stella Noir, second out, and exactly as you were mentioning, that was the first start as an older filly. First start at 4. So you do feel like, wow, okay, you got the improvement first time on the turf, and there's even maybe we're just scratching the surface for this filly who might have a pretty high ceiling to get to for a horse.
Well, even if she pairs up that figure, she's going to be right in this race.
She doesn't have to even really improve all that much, just with the way that we're projecting this trip. Also, Stella Noir, the number 2, 10-1 on the morning line, only cost you 1,000 in your StableDuel lineups. We're next for you, Barry.
I am done. Although there was one horse that I kind of liked that I didn't really want to go to the next step, but it's the 6 in race 8, a little lightheaded.
So we'll mention that one in case anyone has to get a little help in this 6th race. A little lightheaded, a first-time starter for Michael McCarthy here. 4-year-old son of Will Take Charge out of the dam Dipsy, and at 750 won't cost you a whole lot. Won't be.
Yeah, I like that last work. That's really the key. I mean, the horse has been working pretty steadily long. They blew him out. I think this one is sitting on go.
Little lightheaded. That's how I get a little bit sometimes out here in Southern California. Shout out to Mike Rennie, our buddy. He might come and hang out with us, I think, next week. That's Mike getting a little lightheaded on the smoke on the puff there with Mike. So shout out to him, who plays the races out at Gulfstream Park, does a great job there. My final play is going to be in the 9th and final at Santa Anita on Saturday. I like the 3 here, Awesome Rhythm, a little bit. Awesome Rhythm is 5-1 on the morning line, will cost you 6,000. And Awesome Rhythm just had a brutal trip, had a slow start, then was down on the inside, ran into some traffic behind horses, kind of worked his way all the way up to third, was just behind, was tucked in, and just had absolutely no room and was loaded. And Paul Geary is someone who I actually know pretty well. He's a friend of my dad's. He sits up at Santa Anita a lot, and he's a sharp gambler too. He does well with limited stock. He doesn't get a lot of horses, but the horses that he does get, they do a pretty good job of outrunning their odds and sort of just showing up. If this horse is in the 5-1 range with Maldonado aboard, you're going to get some more speed. They will be more forwardly placed, and there is some just sneaky turf breeding in the pedigree overall on the number 3. Awesome Rhythm to close out the Saturday card at Santa Anita. This weekend, you have 2 options, Friday and Saturday. Santa Anita, you've got Gulfstream and Santa Anita on Friday at StableDuel. You've got Santa Anita and Gulfstream for Saturday for StableDuel. Very big weekend next weekend for Gulfstream and for Santa Anita. And we will be back here Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time, my friend. As I said, man, I missed you.
Yeah, man.
My Friday mornings, I love hanging out with you and Matt. And so didn't get the chance to last week, but it was great to see you again this week, my friend. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate all the effort you put into handicapping these races for us. And I hope you have an amazing Friday, Saturday this weekend. Good luck, my man.
Yeah, you too, my man. I feel like Birdman, you know that gif where he's like rubbing his hands together? that's how I feel about, today and tomorrow with these picks we made.
Yeah, I love it. We got a lot of value. We got a lot of opportunities to score. And make sure to follow along with Barry and myself on social media. We always love interacting with you. We love reaching out. If you're ever playing the races, come check in and come say hello. You have a beautiful Friday, my man. Shout out to our buddy Matt. Matt, we'll see you again next week. Folks, get those entries in and play, race, win.
Better, you want to spread your pony